Let you know about on the baby formula shortage, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first, I remain at a loss as to how the United States of America, with all of our resources and abilities, has a national baby formula shortage at all. It's almost impossible to believe. Now, I'm going to lay out some nonpartisan, fact-based answers in a moment. But of course, for many, the partisan finger-pointing has become the go-to response to any sort of national tragedy or crisis. As I said earlier tonight, anytime there's a mass shooting or a major incident, the media and politicians are quick to make the discussion about partisan dogma rather than solutions or, in certain cases, even grief. The latest absurd example is the debate over who's to blame for the current shortage that's been plaguing parents across the country. If you watch cable news, you would, of course, think that the formula shortage is a political issue and that only one party is to blame, depending on which network you're watching.
It is the Biden administration in charge right now. Is that where you point the finger?
Absolutely, because the Biden administration has consistently supported trillions in inflationary spending that is pushing prices upwards and that is clogging the supply chain.
Why Republican politicians are actually calling for America to intentionally starve children amid the baby formula shortage.
Okay, so Joe Biden does not read minds, but the question is, does anyone in the White House read newspapers or watch television news? Supplies of baby formula were down at least 20% as far back as January.
And it seems so rich at this point that when you have the Republicans championing a domestic policy that forces people to have babies, combined with a trade policy that starves them, that pretty much sums up who they are in this moment.
All right, you got it. You got to point fingers. You have to. The reality is that the formula shortage isn't really the fault of either political party or even one politician. Here are some facts. To start with, the formula shortage really ramped up earlier this year when Abbott Nutrition recalled multiple brands of its formula products made in one Michigan plant. The recall came amid complaints that 4 infants fell severely ill, 2 of whom died, with a dangerous bacteria after ingesting Abbott-branded powdered formula. Tonight, by the way, Abbott announced that it had reached a deal with regulators to restart production at that factory after being shut down for months. So why was that recall so detrimental to the national supply of baby formula? Well, Abbott controls 40% of the American formula market, and they shuttered this plant, which itself is responsible for an estimated 20% of the national formula supply, not long after the recall was announced. Also, in many states, the company has exclusive government contracts. It supplies formula to the USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Program for low-income families called the WIC, which stands for Women, Infants, and Children, and that makes the government the largest buyer of formula in the country. Now, critics of the program say because of how much the government buys and the steeply discounted price it buys formula at, the WIC ends up discouraging new companies from entering the market because they can't compete with the big names. So, when one of the major players is hit hard by a supply chain issue, it causes problems for the whole country. I know, this isn't finger-pointing. This is like, I'm getting into the weeds here. I get it. But prior to the supply crisis, neither Democrats nor Republicans had been particularly critical of the WIC or the way it impacts the formula market. But even before the recall formula became increasingly hard to find in stores and prices were on the rise, in some ways, the baby formula shortage is just another example of how the pandemic killed supply chains. Early on, many parents bought as much baby formula as they could, and that hoarding led to wild fluctuations in demand, because while parents were looking to buy formula, many bought enough to last them months and months and months and months. And stores were sounding alarms as of early January this year. Now, here's the other issue. Unfortunately, unlike some consumer goods, baby formula isn't something that can be easily imported. The FDA uses some of its most stringent standards to regulate baby formula. Most European brands are barred from being imported because of labeling issues. Tonight, by the way, in another piece of breaking news, the FDA also announced that it's easing restrictions on imports. Now, you can argue that took too long. Okay. But it's been both administrations, because even if foreign brands do meet American standards, they're often heavily taxed on imported formula. Under the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, the NAFTA replacement, spearheaded by former President Trump, Canadian baby formula is so heavily taxed that it had effectively prevented Canadian suppliers from selling it in the United States. That's not the point, by the way. It's just all maddening. It's hard to believe. Things should have been done differently. But real solutions are different from political grandstanding on an issue so important to so many new parents. Joining me now is Politico senior food and agriculture reporter Helena Budimiller-Evich, who has been all over the story. Helena, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. All right, first let me ask you about the two pieces of breaking news. How important are tonight's developments about the FDA easing restrictions and the Abbott plant reopening? How long will it take to feel the effects?
Yeah, these developments are really important, but it is still probably going to be weeks until things normalize. So under the consent decree that was announced this evening, it's probably still going to be another 2 weeks or maybe even longer until that plant is reopened. And as you laid out, it was a really major supplier for the country's infant formula supply. Let's call it a fifth of the supply. So if you knock out 20% of really any sector, you are going to have some supply chain disruptions. And as you mentioned, this has been brewing for a long time, for many months. And you mentioned the politics, politics is why this all started getting covered. I've been covering this for 3 months, and the mainstream media hasn't done a whole lot in that time.
So wait, so you've been covering this for 3 months. Has the problem been this bad for 3 months?
No, the shortage and the retail situation has not been this bad. But I mean, I've been covering the food safety concern, right? So that we had a recall, and then we learned that the FDA's response was quite slow. So the first infant was hospitalized in September. The government, FDA, was actually warned by a whistleblower about this plant in October. They did not go in and inspect till late January, and we had a recall in mid-February. So there's a lot of questions about the government's response that have nothing to do with the politics here.
Well, but it is fair then to criticize the FDA, right, in that regard.
I have been asking questions about the FDA's timeline for months. They have not really provided answers about why this took so long. Why did they not act more quickly in response to the whistleblower warnings in particular? So yeah, there's a lot of questions here. There's questions about Abbott Nutrition's poor food safety practices and their corporate culture. There's questions about FDA's response. I think what gets a little bit silly is trying to finger point, to what did the president do or not do. This is really a regulatory issue. And as you mentioned, it's really complicated in terms of consolidation and everything that has led up to this point.
Well, let me ask you, since you cover this, do you think heads will roll at the FDA as a result of this? Should heads roll as a result of this? I mean, it seems like, according to you, and you know this as well as anyone, this is an epic failure.
I think there's going to be a lot of questions about who knew what when. The FDA commissioner is going before the House Appropriations panel on Thursday. I expect him to get some very tough questions about this. Congress can't exactly force staff changes at FDA, but I think we're going to see a lot more questions about the government's response here for sure.
Helena, keep asking the tough questions. We need people like you out there. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.